Okay. Are we ready? Have you got
Yeah.
some quick?
We've got a couple of quick things. We've got 2 right-of-way contracts for land acquisitions down on 129th South. It's for the bridge replacement. That's part of the LILB. So we went ahead and print them out too.
This day of August 20th.
Oh, yeah. So on the front page, we're gonna have to cross out August and put December.
This one's got the separate.
Okay, yeah, I thought
These are the right of way contract.
All contracts.
And this is Ammon Lincoln Subdivision Division 1, Plat Development Area.
so on the right-of-way contract, we need to have you cross out August and put December.
Yes, that's the replacement of those bridges.
It's the replacement of the 129th South Bridge, part of the LILB process.
One of them is for 129th and the other one is for county line 55th east.
How cheaper 45th East was.
Well, yeah, we're getting a lot less property.
Southern says November and then this one says August.
So cross out the one that says August and cross out November and put December. It's when the property owners got these offers, it was in August and stuff, but since you're signing them in December, it needs to say December.
They would do the fees,
Yes.
$1,000 each.
Yeah. Those bridges, all 3 bridges should be going out to bid pretty soon for that LILB replacement process. There was one on 33rd on the west side of the county, one on 129th South, and one on county line of 55th East. This is the subdivision plat development agreement for
Ammon
Ammon
Lincoln.
Lincoln. It's at the corner of Ammon and Lincoln. Right there next to the sheriff's annex. This is phase 1 of the process.
It was playing hide and seek with the signature line. So they just platted the corner, right?
They planted a little bit more than the corner. But it's in that corner property. It's just not all of the corner property.
How do you get calls? Of this one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been done.
What do you have?
We have a road and bridge report that we sent to you guys to review. We needed to know if you had any questions and we need it signed.
I just that one.
Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion, we approve the road bridge
Oh.
report.
He said he had a question about it.
So when Lance sent us the information, there's a leading Idaho local bridge funding thing that you said you weren't sure where to put.
Yeah, I still don't know where to put it because we're not actually expending any dollars. It's all coming from the state, but it's in our county. So I don't know, truly, I don't think it needs to be on our road report.
It's for the next year though, right?
No, they're doing it now.
Yeah, this is the next year. That's my point.
No,
Starting fiscal year 2023.
so the design processes have been in earlier in fiscal year 23. The
Okay.
construction process will be in fiscal year now 24,
Okay,
but it's still not money that we're receiving. We're receiving construction dollars and design dollars, and they're paying for all of it.
So it's not even coming to the county and then we're. paying
No.
them.
okay, if it's not going through our books, let's not put it in
That's
there,
what-
and then if they hit us on it, we'll change our mind.
I don't think it needs to be in there, because again, we're not receiving any dollars to
Okay.
go back out.
Okay, so what kind of a change that'd be on the agreement?
It shouldn't be any change on the agreement.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I'd make a motion to approve the agreement, that's written.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you're done.
Okay, did you get it signed? Cause I need the copy.
We can sign it. We have important people waiting. We'll get it signed.
Okay, get it signed, bring me a copy and
Okay.
I'll sign it as well.
He has 2 real contracts. We have her sign those real contracts.
Just, you know,
Yeah, I know that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just here representing her. I don't have anything specific.
Okay, you wanna, can we do the school?
Yeah.
thing? 'Cause Tim's here. And John, Jeffrey here. You guys wanna come up? Sure. After the discussion we had last week.
You can come up to.
We needed to do a little more research so we can decide. What we want to do. And speaking with him, he's just here to find out what the county wants, and then apparently they give you a bid. You wanna say anything on that bid, or?
Yeah, the process really is this, we just need a final decision on what you all want us to do. Bill's holding off on that design for right now. He and I discussed this. Once we know what you want us to do over there, what needs to be done, then Bill can put a design together and get you a cost. Now, the number, $1.5 million is thrown out somewhere, I'm not sure where that came from.
Came up in our meeting. I think you guys, Jeff, who brought it in.
But we're probably talking $30,000 to $40,000 per pole in the end. So if it's 10 poles, you can do the math on that. If it's 8 poles. If we have to have some steel dead end poles, you're probably at the upper end of that. If no steel dead end poles, then you're probably talking more than $30,000. But that cost is probably south of $500,000 is my guess. I just don't know what you want done over there right now. That becomes the issue, right?
Well, that's part of what we needed to kind of find out, because I understand if we make it a county project. But checking, with our road bridge planning administrator, putting that money in escrow, we don't have a system set up to do that and start doing it. In the past, it's been done like Thunder Ridge, where you build that half section out. And, then we'll patch it in when the other developers come in. Pieces that aren't paid for by the developers will be filled in by the county. So that's good, that's kind of where we left it, to find out where we were. The south side of that has, with what's being platted, has all the easements except 2 pieces of property. But for us to make corridor preservation, we'd have to go through and decide if we want to start doing that, which I think it's a little early for us. So we just want to get everybody together, get a final answer on, what our requirement, Cause it sounds like the information is quite a bit different than you were considering. Was gonna be the cost last time. So I don't know what you guys' thoughts after thinking about it.
No, I agree. I think we have to stay with what has been done in the past. It concerned me when we spoke last week that if we change precedents on this one, it's gonna reflect to the whole county on many different projects, not related to schools, but other builders, other developers in other areas. And so I think we have to stay with what we've done in the past, but this sounds like good news to where it won't be near the cost that was anticipated.
No, I don't know how great the news is. The estimate I have to widen the road's about $500,000 plus moving the poles. And for the district, this doesn't make any sense at all. We have other property, and we'll probably make a lot of people pretty mad, but it makes a lot more sense for us to go over and build an elementary school next to Black Canyon Middle School, where we've already widened the road, we've already taken care of the improvements. And then we'll, I guess, see how it plays out with the.
Well, and that'll be your decision, but it shouldn't have come to a surprise that you would be asked to widen that road. That's been.
Well, it comes as a surprise if we have to widen it that much.
This is the same width that you did. For,
No. It's not.
well, with the exception of, and I was gonna bring this up, when you build it. I understand there's a difference between the way Jeff measured the lanes and the way Lance had them. And so it made it.
On that portion of First Street, yeah.
Yeah, on the portion of First Street, but the cross sections for, was that for a 3-lane or a 5-lane?
On First Street at the time it was done, it was for a 3-lane.
3-lane. This would add the extra width of 1 lane.
Right. But when you built your budget based on the suppositions that we built them on, that there would be a similar lane widening. That we wouldn't be moving power poles and so on and so forth. We got what we got from the voters. And we got to build according.
The question I've got is, what was in the bond? Was it just to build the school? As I understand, you've got a list of other projects that you'd like to get some deferred maintenance on.
We did have to fix roofs at Ammon Elementary and Bonneville High School. But those gotta be dealt with too. I've got a serious problem with the roof at Ammon Elementary that can't be ignored any longer. That's why we went the direction we had.
And was that part of the bond?
It is.
That you voted, that they voted on?
Yes.
And where are you money wise on all of that with those bids?
So with the cost, the overall cost, what we're seeing for the school, and if we got to spend the extra, it's not just what the county's requiring, but it's also the fact that because the subdivision has not reached out there yet, we've got to put in the services and the road so that they can hook in at the appropriate time and so forth. So that adds significant cost as well. But when you add it all up, it creates a problem. So the choices are, you either make the school smaller, or you look for other options to where you can still afford to build the school.
Yeah, we can appreciate, because a lot of the other developers are in that same situation of having to pay for extending the services, but that's a little bit outside of what we plan on. I mean, that's up to the developer to understand what those costs are. Is there?
Well, nothing about this makes a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, Wolf Creek to the west and Badger Creek to the east are going in. But then we have to move our poles right now, which means then we have to put some steel corner poles in that we wouldn't have to put in if we moved the Wolf Creek ones and Badger Creek ones up and down the line.
Well, it all depends on when they come in, you know, and the decision there on how many, because they'd have to pay for the balance of the poles. And if they're wanting to get going right away,
Well, Wolf Creek's not going.
they would be treated exactly the same way as you guys are. So,
Badger Creek is in the process of plating and trying to do their portion, at least from their portion.
Yeah, Levi said last week that they're not gonna do it if they have to move the poles. That's verbatim.
you know, but that's a decision they'll make.
I know, I'm just saying that if, just to move our little section of power line fronting the school, it doesn't make any sense with Wolf Creek and Badger Creek being platted too. It makes more sense to move the whole thing. At least the school then is spared the cost of putting those big steel poles in.
What's the extra cost of a steel pole?
Steel poles, you're talking upper range of 40,000.
Extra?
Yeah.
For 2 upper pole.
Yeah, so if you
40,000 per pole
per pole,
versus 30,000 per pole.
Also,
yeah.
$20,000, maybe.
Well, if you have 2 poles, you're $80,000, right? It's $40,000 per pole.
No, because you said
But it was 30,000 for a woodman.
Well, what I'm giving you is what I assume is going to be the average, $30,000 to $40,000 per pole. When you consider certain wood poles that may be in the 25,000 range. And steel poles would be on the upper. End. So my number is trying to get you
worst
an
case.
average, yeah.
But when you say
Yeah,
40,000, you're talking 40,000 average per pole.
I'm saying $30,000 to $40,000 per pole is what you could assume, without having the design. I'm going blind. But
Is there not a way to get, so that we can move this all at one time to avoid those steel poles? I mean, what? Have we considered all aspects?
Well, that's where we talk about the corridor preservation,
Right.
but that, if we did that, it'd just be for right away, because I don't think we want to jump ahead and have to do the whole road like we're doing on Iona. We're trying to avoid doing things the way,
It just seems like it's more costly for everybody, you guys, school, everybody, if we do this in pieces. You know, isn't it more cost effective for you to do it all in one project?
well, certainly, we don't want to do this 2 or 3 times. That's why we talk about steel poles, and we take those, when we have to move those poles out. It's not just, people often think it's just the poles you're having to move to widen the road. Every time we make a turn, then we have to add an additional pole. If we have to put a dead end in, it's a steel pole. And those are very expensive. They're hard to get. So if we can move an entire line at once, it's always easier, better for everyone involved. And even if we do this piecemeal, we want to be where those poles need to be when that road is wide. We don't want to do this another time. These are costs that none of us need to bear 2 or 3 times, right?
but that's the area you're comfortable with setting the precedent.
I am,
that we have.
I am, and so I'm just
Yeah.
trying to find if there is some way to do this. Because if we change our precedents, like I say, it changes developers' cost. We treat all developers the same, and you're a developer in this situation.
Even though we disagree on that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's, if the district had the same power that you're wielding, we could come to you and say, you're a property holder, so you gotta pay taxes on everything you own. But we can't, because we're both government agencies.
Yeah.
So I mean, all we are doing is the same as you. We're responding to what the community dictates. There wouldn't be a school there if this group had not approved all those homes. Then we wouldn't need a school. We wouldn't ask for a school. There'd be no point in a school. So that someone else has created the situation, now you just dump it in the lap. And
This group this group has not created all those because those subdivisions were going even before I took office. And, you know, it's a matter of a service area that was, that was, because I know you'll get pretty argumentative. You know, a service area that was approved, probably 50 years ago. And so you can't come back and take that away in that service area, so it's designated to do this. Where as we go, we have to make adjustments to be able to afford to do it, and that's what we've been doing. And there's developers that aren't very happy. It's,
Yeah,
we should have.
I think the biggest issue that I see is that you say you want to be fair to everyone, but it's absolutely not fair to everyone. Because guy can go into the middle of that mile square and build all that stuff and not pay one dime towards the infrastructure. But if you happen to be the full poor soul that is on the edge, then you're gonna pick up the bill for everybody. And so by creating fees for developers, I understand you're trying to take the burden off taxpayers, right? But you just squarely put it right back in the taxpayer's lap by passing this along to a school district, because that's the only way the school district gets its money is from the taxpayer. So I don't think when you say you gotta treat everybody the same, I think the idea of treating the school district exactly the same as these other developers is the error in thinking.
But I understand Ammon has the same policy with schools, treating them as developers. Correct?
Well, yeah, two wrongs don't make a right.
Well, I know.
It's.
I guess I would just ask you, one way or another. Taxpayers are gonna pay for this, right? And so shouldn't it be part of the cost of building that school and part of the cost of that bond? And those taxpayers pay for that development. Is it fair to ask taxpayers up in Swan Valley to pay for that development to support a school in that district and area?
Well, all I can tell you is, as I mentioned, we do try to anticipate the best we can, that there's gonna be some costs inherent in improvements. What I'm saying is, what we got compared to what we've had other places is not consistent. I mean, it's very different.
Did you check when you put the numbers together with Lance to find out what the requirement would be?
Well, I mean, I would say we've talked to Lance, on a variety of occasions. I don't know that we came in and said, are you gonna make a 5-lane road out here? Do we have to anticipate that?
That might be helpful in the future for you to do that in your due diligence. So, because I'm sure this is gonna come up again.
Well, I don't think when we bought this property that necessarily we were talking about a 5-lane road there. So I don't know that would have helped us that much.
But it's my understanding that's always been designated as a future 5-lane road because of the other conditions out there. So. But
Since 2012, it's been identified as a arterial road with 5-lane section in the access management plan. So it was identified as that in 2012.
so it might not hurt to ask in the future. Sure. So, anyway.
So one thing that I can see is if it saves enough money to move the poles one time, the portion of Wookie or Wolf Creek from Ammon Road basically to the canal is going to be on the county sometime in the future to move that section of pole.
And we've already got the right of way.
And we've got the right of way, but where Rocky Mountain Power will want that is in an easement behind the right of way off of that 50-foot, because they'll want it behind that. So that portion of it is gonna be on the county sometime in the portion.
Is that true, Tim? Because I thought you would put it in the right of way.
Well, here's the thing, we want it where you need to have it. Rocky Mountain Power is going to do whatever you want us to do. We just await the word. Once we understand what it is you want us to do, and we have a place to put it, We're gonna design the job. Estimate a cost on that. We just need to be where you want us to be, so we're out of the way.
Because generally, we've done them at the outer edge of the right of way, so your Rocky Mountain Power doesn't have to go acquire their own private easements.
And that is wonderful. And if you're going to move us out of the right of way, then we have to have a place to go. We just need to have your help to do that, right? So we can run those poles down.
But it would be another right of way, not the extra.
It
private
would be an
right-of-way.
easement at that point if you're outside. the right of way.
Along Wolf Creek, I think there is a public utility easement that's designated already along those roads. And I'd have to double check that, but
Yeah.
it's, I believe that in Wolf Creek, that easement outside of the right of way is already platted.
Just so I completely understand, if I recall our conversation last week, it was focused around the cost of moving the poles. The $1.5 million or $1.5 million number was thrown out. And I didn't hear as much concern about the road improvements, like you had expected those, but the power poles was what tipped it over the edge. Is that correct? Because that's what I remember.
That's
from
only,
last week.
I mean, no, the 5-lane section as compared to a 3-lane section was, part of that concern. And particularly given the fact that you're just gonna create a big chunk of asphalt no one's gonna use because it's or a bottleneck. I mean, I don't know how far away you are from.
That's where we're still gonna disagree, because we came out First Street. And having that widened out, because when school was getting out there. And I mean, it creates that 3-lane road in there. Long term, yeah, you're eventually gonna need to get the rest of it done, but we don't have the resources to fill in the blanks and do it all at once.
Yeah,
Well, isn't Wolf, didn't you tell Wolf Creek that theirs is only a 3-lane section?
No,
Cause that's what Eagle Rock is shown on their plans on 49.
what happened with Wolf Creek is we didn't have the requirement for the improvements along the arterial road. We got 50 foot of right of way dedicated to us, but they didn't have any requirement for installing infrastructure.
That's the one on the corner, but the one to the east of that came in.
The
after
one to east of this Badger Creek,
No, the Wolf Creek Wolf
Well-
Creek #2. It came in after that requirement. for
No, it didn't.
materials.
none of Wolf Creek has come in after the requirements.
I'm mistaken, and I thought Wolf Creek #2, I don't know if it's #2, but I thought it
It'd
was.
be Wolf Creek number 4 or 5.
Yeah, but so then if you keep on going east after Wolf Creek, you got that house that's right there to
Right.
Wolf Creek, and then you got the bridge
Mm-hmm.
that's in the canal that needs to be widened, and then you have the school. The school also is putting in addition to the 5-lane, or the half of the 5-lane, a bus turn lane. With gates.
That was an accommodation to allow access onto this period.
Yeah, I know all that, I'm just saying, there's a lot to it. And we talked last week about, you guys know how I feel like the school is a quasi municipality and they should be treated. Like when you guys did all your work on 45th East, Rocky Mountain Power
Well, but
picked
that's,
up that. I know that's not this
that's an
discussion,
issue.
but I
Yeah, that's an
want to
issue
throw that
between,
out.
And it creates a difficult situation for them because of, people that aren't even here today, that's their interpretation. And we can't control that. Correct?
Correct.
So the only other, solution is if we want to get that corridor preserved. Get it moved right now, we have to. Because we've done corridor preservation acquisitions in anticipation of a future project, right? Before, I think there'd be 2 parcels we have to pick up, and we would just do it on the south side.
two parcels plus through Sand Creek Estates, instead of a 50-foot half right of way, they've got a 40-foot half right of way. Because it was platted many years ago and only got 40 foot from the center line on that.
With the 5 lane,
It's really, really tight to get it in a total 80-foot right of way. You can do it, but then the poles are definitely outside of the right of way. And you would need to gain additional easements and stuff for that across Little Sand Creek Forest Estates.
and that's up on the east end.
That's on the east end.
Because some of these others we're talking about are west of the canal, which that
Correct.
project wouldn't happen until we get a final design from the state on where that's gonna, turnoffs are gonna come in there.
Well, two different kind of scenarios, but yeah, I mean, I think 49th North on this alignment up to Ammon Road is still gonna stay there. It's what happens north of Highway 26 that's somewhat in limbo right now.
I wish it would do power in on project. I mean, it would save them a little bit of money. It would make more sense for Rocky Mountain while they're out there doing work to do it all at once. In my mind. It doesn't solve all your problems, but to me, that's one. I wish we could find a way to get that done. And I don't know how that is.
We'd have to have a policy of right of way preservation. What do we call
Corridor
that? Corridor
preservation.
preservation.
But we've
In
done that
anticipation
in
of
the
not,
past, so that we're not changing
Yeah.
anything there.
it just couldn't. You know, if the developers are gonna say, well, we're gonna wait till you do it. You know, we're not, the developers are still gonna have to plat that and do it. And that's what we don't wanna get crossroads on. But it would be best to have the whole line moved in anticipation of that. See, on the north side, you don't have this issue because it
The
costs.
power line's not
Power
there on
lines
the
on
north side.
that side. So we don't need to acquire that right away. We can acquire that as we go. This is
We've
moved
got-
by the project.
We've got portions of that on the north side too, but we don't have as much as on the south side as what we will have with the school district Plat and Badger Creek next to it and Little Sand Creek Estates and Wolf Creek.
So, you know, maybe a possibility is to proceed that way. I mean, it doesn't get you an immediate answer, but in the near future, proceed with that on the south side corridor preservation, contingent on these plats being developed before we give you a final answer. Yeah, because if you guys think the 5 lane is gonna make it look south, you know, I don't wanna go through all that right now.
Can you explain that comment to me a little bit more? When you said you just moved the school there, but taxpayers wouldn't be happy.
Well, there's a lot of folks that built their homes over there that, when they voted, thought a school was going out on 49th North. And so, but from a pure monetary standpoint, you know, the
You-
taxpayers countywide or district-wide would benefit if we build a place that's more
You already have
cost-effective.
that land available.
Correct.
There it is.
We've already widened the road, we've already put in the sidewalk, all that's there. So,
Like that makes sense.
yeah, financially.
When that balanced out, I'd just see one there anyway. Why did you trade with Rockwell in there?
Well, when the original piece we had, we only had one access into that. And there, when I went and approached them about gaining the secondary access into that spot, they were unwilling to do that. Then they came back and said, but we would be willing to do this trade you, show how you know, that there would be the two accesses in the school plus potential access off 49. So that's why we made the trade.
All of that is gonna go internal to the school, subdivision. You know, it's like Austin said, he said, if I had to take my kids, I'd go up to 45th when it's approved down 49th instead of winding through the subdivision. You know, so it's not an exact science, but human behavior is hard to predict, you know. So what do we do?
I don't know.
I think we-
I'd like to see us, be able to put that with our line once.
Yeah, and I think that if we wait, make sure we've got all the plats finalized in there, we could look at the corridor preservation and start trying to purchase those easements.
But to your point, we don't do anything if they're gonna decide to move to school.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna make that decision
Right,
unilaterally, obviously.
but I don't think we can make our decision. So we know.
I just, from here, I go back to superintendent, school board, say, here's what it is. Here's what the costs are gonna be. This is how it impacts the overall bond, the other projects that we're attempting to do. And then they'll make a decision on what they wanna keep it in the location it's in, or whether it makes sense to move it and then have those other funds to complete those other projects.
Well, the other thing that's a factor is, it was said that it's about an 18-month lead time for order poles.
It depends on the kinds of poles we're having to deal with. Steel structures are, because of supply chain issues, can be out as far as 18 months. So whatever we're going to do, we need to get it done quickly for us to be able to order long lead materials, whatever that means, whether it's a short span or whether it's a whole line. We're happy to do whatever you want us to do. We just need to know what it is, have a place to go.
But on their decision, I mean, the decision I'm thinking about are the other plats coming up, if they get finalized. If they don't, I don't think we're in a position we'll be purchasing that much right away.
Well, and this,
How soon will we know that?
I mean, one of the plats is the school district plat, Badger Creek. They plan on platting portions of it. But that may,
Division one's in final plat
yeah,
stage.
I mean,
Yeah, and then,
it doesn't go at quite touch where the school district is, but it's pretty close.
yes, they wanted to switch phase 2. But that request was not, it didn't make sense to do that, because that would have them not building the road next to the school property. So we.
And
Well,
that's
then
the
they needed to
discussion
keep it.
between Rockwell and School District 2 is Rockwell building that interior subdivision street versus the school building that interior subdivision street.
So 2 streets, I believe.
Right now, it's in our plan.
Not the power poles, no, but it does have to do with access for the school.
But we've accepted the fact we're gonna have to build the lane on the east border of the school.
You're gonna have to build more than just a lane.
Well, I mean,
No, we're building curb and gutter over to the east, but we're gonna split the cost with Rockwell, at least that's what we're talking about. But, you know, as far as I know, right, but, yeah, split that road in half, we hope, but we're gonna build it higher.
Build the entire road minus the curb gutter on the
No,
east
curb
side.
and gutter on the east side, just no
No
sidewalk.
sidewalk, okay.
yeah, then we won't build the road on the south side of the school.
Which, I mean, that's something we've talked about with your internal circulation and where it drop off and everything else too.
We can make it work without building. It's better with that road, but we can make it work without. And we'll let the subdivision and they go in there. Do that.
And connect it.
I mean, I think, yeah. I think we might be a couple weeks away from getting the final answer, but, you know, we've got a fisher come bait here pretty quick.
Yeah, we don't wanna be the delay on this once you decide to move, so
We'd rather blame you.
I know that.
I'd say I'm a little concerned about the 18-month issue, given our timeline for the school.
But apparently that would not be as big a concern if you didn't have to have metal poles, which would be an argument for going with the whole.
Yeah, yeah. And if you get us to a design right away, then we can nail down procurement on that. And find out exactly, maybe we have a couple of poles sitting someplace, maybe it's no time at all, but. I want to be transparent here, it's awfully difficult to get materials right now.
So next week, probably wouldn't be a good week. You know, with the holidays, but maybe 2 weeks. Have everybody circle back, because to me, it's helpful, the reason we want to get everybody in the same room is, you know, just like things you said you were hearing over here, that you were hearing different. You know, let's gather all the information as quickly as we can. You know,
We don't want to be an obstacle for you, but you're responsible for the taxpayers' additional activity. We're responsible for the entire county. Sure. Looking out for them. So, yeah, I'd like to see the decision made.
except him as a taxpayer who lives inside the city limits. And we have no responsibility for you.
That's true, but I appreciate being here, thank you.
Anyway, yeah, let's kind of circle back when we gather some more information on this idea of a corridor preservation and what our options are. Because I think long-term, if we understand what we're gonna do there, you know, looking at the cost of right-of-way acquisition on 45th, that was tremendous. You know, anything we can do earlier to acquire that, I think is wise for whoever's here in the next 20 years. So, same with you guys, right? Okay?
Okay.
Questions? Nope, you're just happy to be here.
Just happy to be here, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Wait too long. Okay. A little. Are you folks here?
Yeah, we're here today.
Oh.
All the ones we already,
They signed in.
I did. Yeah.
yeah, we could have had you out of here a long time ago.
You didn't have to sit through all that.
You must not copy of that.
Okay,
It was fun to hear that.
so who, needs to record it? Do they need to record it? Or do we?
Yeah, you guys need to take it up to recording.
Okay. Thank you, thanks for always keeping me on the straight track. Thanks.
Okay,
I think we've covered what we needed to cover, right?
yeah, so we had a request by Bruce Henry.
Yeah.
Because of the unusual year, you know, closing gates to the high, you know, that Eagle Pass caps across the road, that's basically 3 kilometers. You know,
Yeah.
gets worse as you go up. But his request was for, his family has a cabin down there. 2 things he wanted to get multiple keys, so he didn't have to run down over the gate for it. I told him I wasn't very excited about that. The other was, I mean, and everybody that has a key to that gate should be able to get in there with wheel vehicles right now, because it's roads, pretty solid.
Well, what the application for a key is the person responsible for that key is the one that signs it out. And so if Bruce is intending to hand these keys out to family members, I would rather have that family member come in and receive the authorization to get that key rather than have Bruce have multiple keys and just hand them out whoever he wants.
Okay, well, it's okay, I'll pass that back, because you might find it easier to drive to the end of the road than not.
It just keeps us knowing who has keys better than if we just hand Bruce 3 or 4 keys.
But we are gonna allow wheeled traffic in there while there's no snow on the road. like-
Why there's no snow on the road, it's hard to say
Yeah,
track vehicles only.
right.
Cause they can't get.
Any wording on the permit they sign then,
What's that?
you need to change the wording on the permit. Doesn't it say?
I would rather not change the wording on the permit just because it's intended to keep people out of there when there's enough snow to only have wheeled or tracked vehicles only. That's the idea behind closing the gate, period. But we had to close the gate because we anticipated having enough snow on it,
Yes,
and then it warmed up.
I just don't want to put us in a bad spot because we're issuing a permit that says they have to use tracked vehicles beyond the gate. And then we're saying, but you really don't have to use tracked vehicles beyond the gate because there's no snow.
And that's it,
not articulated in the permit.
right?
Maybe in the permit, we could say practice plan. Snow level, whatever, yellow.
But usually we don't lock it until there's enough snow
Right,
to require it.
Right now, we are. And I
Yeah.
think
But that's because it's up high, but the problem is, you know, when you sent your operator up there, they had that infant,
Yeah,
situation up there.
he was plowing up to 6 feet of snow in a couple spots.
Yeah, they pulling people off the road, that's what we don't wanna be in there, except emergency like this, you know.
they should have tracked vehicles and road snow covered.
You know, one like that, I don't think, you're gonna get all the FBI and all the investigative agencies have access to a tracked vehicle on that.
They got flashlights and noisemakers, so they're exempt.
So what do I tell Bruce? Send, send these kids in to find him?
If they want multiple keys, I would have them come in and, get the individual keys. And if we don't have them on the list, we've been sending them down here to get your authorization to hand that key out. And so if Bruce has a list of his people that he wants to get keys for, and you can say, these are the people that we authorize to have keys, then they can come down and we can issue them a key.
I'm a little uncomfortable giving out 10, 12 keys, you know, for just the purpose of,
You said 3 or 4. You know, and I don't know if some of them are coming in out of state or. I just said, Bruce, you know.
How far is it to the gate from this place?
4 miles, 5 miles.
like, you could just drive down over the gate for them.
Do it
The
either
cell
way.
phone coverage not working there.
It's spotty down where his house is in the bottom of the canyon there.
Yeah, I'd be
I would
surprised.
think
if it
his,
has-
I think his is pretty spotty.
Makes it harder.
Yeah. See,
But if
that's-
he knows they're coming, if they're
Smoke
his
signals.
family, you'd think that they could coordinate when they're gonna come. And he wouldn't have to run back and forth a lot, other than, I mean, tell me when you're gonna be there and I'll be there to open the gate for you.
What you telling?
I guess I'd rely on you, Lance.
I think it's way more secure for us to have one key and have him run back and forth and open the gate.
kind of do too. We've given him access.
Okay, tell him that. And he can still get in, they can still get in.
Yeah, we're making that exception.
And
Bet you we end up with additional keys, additional copies to keys.
that's why we bought new locks and are switching the locks every year, and that's what's gonna have to happen.
I think that's what we have to do.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? You guys are just here to observe.
I got one thing, so we went through at Green Valley and talked to the people that have cars that are sitting out there that, you know, length. Indefinite length of time, they're gonna get all those moved. But some of the comments coming back, or people are asking, you know, if you post on the website somewhere, like a schedule.
No.
And when you're, is that something that could be done?
Not likely, because we have so many subdivisions and we only have 2 people to do inside subdivisions. Creating a schedule to do subdivisions on snow plowing is something that is not going to be able to be followed. We don't have nearly enough people or equipment to have a set schedule.
Okay, but like a little bit beforehand, like this week, on Monday, you're gonna do Old Mill.
We don't even have that ability right now.
Post anything like that at all?
No.
Is there any way to communicate that out, either by text message, email, anything?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we've looked at certain things before. The city of Idaho Falls does a grid area and say we're likely to be in the AB streets on odd even days, but that still doesn't give you a set schedule of when you're gonna be there. They have tremendously more people and equipment than we do to do subdivisions. And so without a lot more people and a lot more equipment, I don't know how I would ever set a schedule for when we're gonna get to a certain area after a certain storm.
Okay, but we were looking for more, heads up notice when you're coming our way, that's the kind of thing.
Well, the heads up notice would probably be
Here they are.
2 to 3 days after snow event. If hopefully we're trying to get to subdivisions within 3 or 4 days after a snow event. But that's basically your heads up. If we've got 2+ inches of snow, they better have their stuff off the street so that when we do get it in subdivisions, we can plow in subdivisions.
Okay, and so if there's cars out there, when that happens, there's cars out there, because there are some people that are fairly obstinate in
No,
cooperating with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Will your guys just come in and just go around?
That's usually what we have done is go around.
Okay, so we talked before about, trying to help a little bit, but
Yeah,
after talking to all these people, I would encourage those guys to come in and just bury those cars.
we try very seriously not to do that.
Recorded, Chelsea.
We very hard try not to bury cars. If there's enough of them, we have at past tried to get the sheriff's office involved and told them, but that's been on a very rare occasion, and usually it's been like mobile home estates where there's 40, there's no room to move at all.
Yeah, I think we've mitigated that problem. There's cars that leave every day. People drive these cars to work.
Yeah.
And they're out, they park on the street. But
We'll probably go
there's
around.
bound to be 1 or 2 that are gonna be there.
And we'll probably plow around.
Yeah, if the guys just plow around, we appreciate them doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that's all I have, unless you had any questions.
Well, for the minutes, that's Sean Bratz, because we have to put, what's your name?
Robin King,
Robin,
ROBYNKIN.
Robin, King, okay. Heck, need to have, who's in attendance at the meeting. I see an Alan Steele on here. Did you have anything, Mr. Steele? It's he doesn't respond, he doesn't, she's listening.
it's muted.
Yeah, I guess just. Attendance.
Okay,
Okay,
meeting next week.
meeting's over.
We are meeting next week.
Stop, record.
That's all I have. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Oh, yeah,
We put the video on. We zoom on. You saw.
well, yeah,
Just to stop.
so we were gonna talk about the
Crazy.
Caribou contract to move snow.
Yeah.
Their commissioner doesn't like the map either. So, he wants to have face to face, and he couldn't be up here today.
So,
Previously obligated, so
Jason will ask him up. He's doing the motion.
Did he have questions about
We'll discuss that with him. He was hesitant to say, because he was in the office where the problems were. And he thinks it's something that can be easily dealt with, so he wanted to come up and talk with,
Okay.
with you and me and see if we can just get this done, so.
That's,
So we'll move this to down the road to
and
next Wednesday.
hopefully in
Doing
the
this next
meantime,
Wednesday, or road and bridge. We will have to sign the contract, right?
Yeah.
We signed one, but are we editing it now? Or if we?
well, we didn't,
Redo a new.
we didn't sign
Okay,
the agreement, they did.
right.
So last
Okay.
week you put off signing.
Let's just move this back on the agenda and
As a discussion or action.
let's do it as an action
It
item.
will have to be an action item to sign the agreement. I don't know whether.
It just didn't work out to get him
Here
here.
today.
Somebody
Yeah,
said it
and
was gonna snow today and it was snowing when I left home, so.
And they have, I mean, they've been pretty good to work with us up there, so I don't, you know, I wanna make sure that we're being fair to them. And
Yeah.
we're not.
Well, and that's why,
Diming them.
that's why they had relooked at the mileage and came up with a less mileage than what our operators did. I said, I think we ought to go with a higher mileage based on where they actually measured to. And it was 14.6 miles rounded up instead of the 13.8 that they had.
And
Thought
then
they
his
had said.
GIS.
They had
then
17.3
his GIS pulled
previous year.
mapping with 18. And that's,
Well,
that's where
that,
he
that
said,
included,
that's why we're
Jackknife
gonna get
Creek.
together and talk about this and just get
Yeah.
a finished document.
that
So,
included Jackknife Creek area, which is covered on the Tri-County agreement, and it's a different thing entirely.
that's why he wants to make sure everybody up there understands the same thing, everybody down here understands, and we'll just get it done.
Good job getting the transfer station back open.
So we will have to
That was
have
just
some
temporary.
more discussions
No.
about that, because there were some things that they found during that process that is gonna lead to some more repairs, and we're likely to have to close down again. When we get that, the idea of what those are gonna be and when we can get through. So,
When I stopped in there, I was surprised how quickly it filled right back up
oh yeah,
with garbage.
that's because one of our compactors is having serious problems and they can't run it alternating, and they're pushing it all through one hole in the floor. And that's part of the discussion too, is what do we do with that and how we deal with it, because we're looking at
Yeah.
a lot of maintenance to try to keep the existing transfer station operating as
That's why we got the optional judicial review on the shelf.
Services with the guys to access and forced to clean up a few piles.
Okay,